delighted to say Philip Ingram is joining me. Philip Ingram, MBE, I should add, former senior military intelligence officer. I will come to the shoplifting story with you, but there are lots of other stories I want to get to you with you first. You know, as an ex-military man, what's happened in Washington? Very, very distressing. We fear many, many dead. We are talking about 67 people in total, 64 people on the plane, 3 US soldiers in the helicopter that appeared to collide with each other in Washington, D.C. and crashed into the Potomac River. Icy cold conditions. It happened at 9 p.m. Washington time. Some 300 responders are joining forces to be searching through the wreckage, in the desperate hope that there would have been any survivors. Certainly by this time, realistically, there will be no survivors.
Yeah, realistically. And the important thing is there's going to be an awful lot of rumour, there's going to be an awful lot of speculation, there's going to be an awful lot of conspiracy theories going around. We just don't have the facts at the moment. You know, we know that.
It appears to be a terrible accident. Judging from what we've got some recordings from the flight tower to sort of, have you seen that jet to the helicopter?
And it's a very, very congested piece of airspace around the airport, and it seems like a tragic accident. You know, the US military helicopter looks as if it was one from a flight that specialises in VIPs out of the Department of Defence, but again that hasn't been confirmed. All we know is that 2 aircraft collided and both have crashed.
Particularly disturbing is there was a ice skating competition, and there were a list of 13 skaters, many of them children, who were said to have been on the plane, which is a particular concern for everybody, I think. Yeah,
it's completely shocking. No one gets on a plane, whether you're travelling for business or for pleasure, or you get teams going on expecting it to crash. And
airline safety is
very good indeed. And the Black Hawk helicopter has got an amazing safety record. The airline's got an amazing safety record. So
Donald Trump messaged on his Truth Social site that he believed this shouldn't have happened. This looks like an accident that should have been prevented. But we do know one thing about, we talk so much about, lessons will be learned, whether it's whatever the big story is in Britain. One place where lessons really are often learned is in the airline industry, isn't it? They've got a very different. Matthew Said wrote a brilliant book, black box thinking, thinking like your airline industry in terms of, instead of going like at hospitals, this is going wrong, let's cover that up, or let's try and put our head in the sand, or not, or oh well. Someone who's going to go on and murder a load of people has been interviewed by Prevent 3 times, so he doesn't fit a category, so we're not going to do anything about it. The airline industry work together, don't they? And they want to know exactly what happened to prevent the next one.
Yeah, and the thing that comes into all of this is, aircraft are operated by human beings, and human beings, no matter how many lessons learned that you have, no matter how many examples are out there, no matter how well trained people are,
people make mistakes.
People make mistakes.
So robots, to be fair. In our defence, but
they do. But
it does appear to be a terrible tragedy.
It could well be. We wait to see what the investigation is. We hope that they might find some survivors, but as you say, it's highly unlikely.
It's very unlikely at this point, isn't it? We'll keep you up to date on any developments on that story, obviously. Let's talk about airports closer to home. Heathrow Airport. It sounds glib, doesn't it? But we are a station with opinion. We are we are a station that covers the news. But I know a lot of other stations have covered pretty much only this terrible crash overnight in America. But there's a lot going on in this country, in particular in the wake of Rachel Reeves' big Grove speech. It hasn't been met with great joy and fanfare by many people in business. You can talk a good game, and your Oxford-Cambridge corridor, and your extra funding for this and that, and even a third runway at Heathrow is all very well. But if you're going to tax us for every extra employee we hire, you could put an extra 25 billion in total in taxes on national insurance. If you're going to, capital gains tax is going to be ridden, and you put on new labour laws under the Employment Rights Bill, and it's not about bosses want to exploit workers, but basically we ain't going to be able to get rid of people who are no good. We're going to be sued to the end of time. Then you're going to make it very hard for us to expand. And we can already see what is happening. The contraction in the labour market is already happening. But one of the key messages we got yesterday was, as expected, Rachel Reeves didn't give just her blessing to the third runway at Heathrow. She said the government now backed the third runway at Heathrow. Noticeable that the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, vehemently against this project, wasn't there. But the Prime Minister, he was chatting about it at PMQs quite happily an hour or so later. He had voted against it, 7 years ago, quite happily. Nothing's changed.
The hypocritical nature of government policy that's coming in at the moment. He'd voted against it, Rachel Reeves voted against it. Most of the front bench of the government had in some way disrupted the previous government's approach to trying to get a third runway. All because it was purely political. Now they're in government, they're supporting it. But nothing's going to come in this year. Nothing's going to come in until for at least another decade. And the Prime Minister's turning around saying we will feel more money in our pockets this year. Nothing he's doing is going to achieve that. He's getting more people in the dole. We've seen Lloyds Bank closing lots of branches. Tesco's laying more people off. WH Smith looking to sell its high street shops and everything else.
I think
no
one's going to be missing WH Smith. I don't want anyone at WH Smith to lose their job, but the jobs and there's not going to be more money going into individuals' pockets this year. The government just doesn't seem to have a coherent policy, and they've split the government. Sadiq Khan is totally against it. Well, he's a London man.
Ed Miliband didn't turn up for the vote.
Well, it's didn't turn up for the speech. I thought the best comments was Michael O'Leary did an interview on Sky News and he basically said Rachel Reeves hasn't got a clue. He said Heathrow's a dead cat. He said he called her Rachel rubbish. I mean, he never minces his words, does he? There she is trying to distract everybody with a press conference, he said, wittering on about starting a consultation on the mythical dead cat known as the third runway at Heathrow. Please understand that this won't come in till 2040 or 2050 at the earliest. This won't deliver growth, not this year, not in the life of the current government, not even in the life of the next government. And this is the reality. Now, one of the problems we've got in this country is that no government commits to things that need to be done, like building a new reservoir, new power station, gas power station, new runway. They don't head, railway lines. They don't build anything. Railway lines people actually want and need, not necessarily HS2. They don't commit to anything that's not going to give them the glory in the next 4 or 5 years, which is a fundamental problem in our system. And that's why people go, let's have a strong man like Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin. Yeah, that's not the answer. The answer is what we need is grown-up politicians who do wise things. But we've also had, you get a bunch of people, whether they're eco-fanatics or they live nearby, and they don't want these projects. And I completely understand that. I wouldn't like my home to be compulsory purchased. I completely understand that. However, we're a small country. We need to have some of these projects built, and there's going to be someone affected. I'm a big fan of taxpayers' money being used to very generously compensate those people who are negatively impacted. I think that's stakeholders, negative, I don't know. But the key thing is we don't build anything anywhere, ever. We do need a third runway at Heathrow. We need massive expansion of a lot of our infrastructure. But it is true, even with the government backing it, there'll be legal challenge after legal challenge. Even with their change in the planning rules, legal challenge after legal challenge. It is very unlikely. It's a massive project. They're not just laying a bit of extra tarmac. It's a bigger project that involves moving motorways, for goodness sake. But fundamentally, I mean, we need to have a major international hub airport with more than 2 sodding runways, like every other major country has. And we need to get with the programme. But what I love is that this is coming up against their net zero commitments, which will 100% legally, not just morally in their view, but legally forbid that runway to be built. It's insane. And
those are the first court cases that'll come through because the government will have to prove its figures. It hasn't done the detail behind it. In Rachel Reeves' defence, she did announce building more reservoirs, but what she hasn't done is anything which is investing today. And one of the areas that they could do is defence, because you start spending defence money today,
we need more money.
We need more. It'll create more jobs today. It'll cause industry to grow today. I don't think it gives
jobs to people who vote Labour. I think that's what their concern would be.
A lot of them do, because it's manufacturing industry, and it's it's the steel industry. They will get a lot.
I'm sorry, we closed down our ability to make virgin steel.
Well, exactly. I know that's.
We literally every single. It's not even that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. The left hand doesn't even know what the left hand's doing, and that's the same for all of the governments in the last 20 or 30 years. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I mean, we know, major Labour donors, your Dale Vinces, and Sadiq Khan massively opposed to this. And again, they claim this is all over climate issues. Again, there's noise pollution. I'm probably going to be, if there's another runway, I'm probably going to be able to hear in my home, which is miles away from Heathrow. I still hear some planes. Yeah, it's a cost of doing business.
It is.
You know what?
But but there doesn't seem to be any consistency across the government. There's no consistency in the policies that they had when they were in opposition compared to with what they're doing now.
Not at all.
They've lied to the electorate to get in. Now that they're in, there is no consistency across different departments and what they're trying to pull together to achieve the growth that they want to achieve. This is a government that is just running around trying to do as much as just do stuff to make it look
it's
busy.
not joined up thinking. There's no coherent strategy. They say there is, but there isn't, because they're all mutually exclusive. I mean, just added to that, just the water bills we now learn are going to rise by an average of £123 a year in April. I mean, that's, they're building some reservoirs. We're paying for it. Look, we're going to end up paying for it. But what annoys me is you get the bosses and the boards and the shareholders and these major water companies, many of which are owned by companies abroad. They've been paying massive bonuses. And they go, we have, massive dividends. We don't have the money to do all this infrastructure work. Really? My road is currently being dug up for, I think, the 5th time this year. It's a one-way street, so it's constantly closed. And it's been. And I actually said to the men, I went, how long is it going to be closed for this time? They said, just till Friday. I went, really? Until next time? They went, no, we found the leak now. And they were so happy about it. I was like, well done. I walked away with a big smile on my face and went, really? Like, you finally found the leak? The leak, by the way, that was caused when they were digging it up for 8 months to deal with some electricity supply thing. 8 months. I'm not joking. 8 months.
Did they say which Friday, though?
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. It would be so nice to drive down my street at some point. Let's get back to the shoplifting, though, because I've got a lot of calls already coming in on this. I thought I would have. I've got to be honest with you. It pays for. I've literally been walking past my local supermarket and a guy walking up with these massive big shoulders of lamb, and I'm literally like, pay for those, did you? You got shoulders of lamb that probably cost like 30 quid, but you couldn't afford the £1 bag, really? And you just think, are you kidding me? And I look at the security guard and he's just like, I'm not allowed to stop them. There's nothing I can do. I need to stand by the booze, because the booze is the first thing that'll go. And as soon as I move to any other place, they run in and they get the booze. I mean, that's where they're at. So short of having, men standing literally on the doors will shop, security people constantly, but they're not allowed to tackle. But we're watching it, and the thing is, it's like, I was just getting the tube the other day, and I'm walking out the tube, and this guy just slipped in behind me and went through the tube barrier without paying. And I'm like, so I'll pay for your ticket then. And people think it's a victimless crime, like shoplifting. They think it's not. The shop's losing money, the shareholders. You may have your pension shares in some of these big supermarkets. It's the local small shopkeepers. They go out of business. Literally, shops in my high street have gone out of business because the shoplifting has just wiped everything out for them. And the stress levels, they're intimidated, they're scared. These people get violent. But also, the prices we pay for everything covers the cost of the stuff that's stolen. So they're stealing from us.
100%, and it's organised crime that's doing it.
People think, they're desperate mothers looking for desperately stealing nappies. They're not.
They're not. Less than 3% of the shoplifting are those that would fall into a category or use a defence of I'm desperate. The majority of it is organised crime that's going around, and they're targeting the different shops. There was one store chain that's now gone out of business, Wilko's. Their CEO at the time refused to allow the security staff, of which there were very few around, but the shop workers, to refer to shoplifters as shoplifters. They had to refer to them as non-paying customers, because she was a human rights lawyer.
Excuse me, I'm just going to quietly explode in the corner.
Yeah, she a
friend of mine works at the benefit office, and they're told to refer to the people getting benefits as clients or customers. I'm like, they're not customers. They're not paying for anything.
Exactly. And this is the problem, and you get you find that as the big retail stores can afford security, not all of them do it, then it pushes it onto the smaller stores.
But even my local big well-known chain supermarket, they can afford security, but they're not allowed to do anything. And these people, and also there's no point anyway, because the police aren't going to do anything.
I know of a shop manager who was disciplined and threatened to be sacked because he chased a shoplifter out of his store.
I want to know the legals on me chasing. I mean, because it angers me so much, because it's so basic. And they are stealing. When I pay whatever extra pence for any item I'm paying for, that person has stolen that money from me by stealing.
Exactly. And the private sector is now coming in with solutions for shops. There's a couple of organisations out there that I know very well indeed, because I write quite a lot about crime and various other things for some security magazines, and initiatives getting pictures of shoplifters and putting them up on Facebook pages. Others getting the equivalent of a WhatsApp group and sharing it around different stores.
But they shouldn't have to do that. There should be a simple process. It's very simple. You steal from the store, we will tackle you down, we will pin you to the ground, you will be prosecuted, and the police will turn up. I don't understand why it's complicated. I doubt very much there's anyone who disagrees with me. I want to hear from you on this one. Give us a call. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. 10:22 is the time. There is so much more I want to talk about, including, of course, those hostage releases. Still ongoing. Hamas releasing more hostages in Gaza. The fifth female soldier, Israeli soldier, she has been released earlier today. Total of 3 Israelis, 5 Thai farm workers also taken hostage. No one ever talks about these people.
Exactly.
Just caught up in this, finally being released today as well.